The 25th of March 2025. I hope you've been having a fulfilling, enriching, informative conversation on the frequency 95.1. That is from the morning show to what's happening in Abuja, the Sunnyside show. And now yours truly, Kimberly Wachuku, the Oracle, the digital Oracle, is reporting for duty. Yes, you can call me OTF, the fellow Chanyawa Madam Speaker, and I'll say yes to them all. So we're going to start off looking at some of the big three stories driving conversation. I will sit on one comfortably because my guest, Mr. Jide, a development consultant, analyst, and would be helping us, share thoughts on some of the concerns that have come up recently, particularly hearing from the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, worried about the state of our democracy, presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, telling us how we used to be back then and how things have degenerated as it is right now, giving the impression that our democracy is under threat of some sort. In the wake of the state of emergency that was declared on Rivers State and the suspension of the governor and the state houses of assembly for an administrator to run the affairs of the state for some month, which they say calling it off will be dependent on how soon normalcy returns to the state. And like I asked my guest yesterday, how do you measure the return of normalcy to a state? What needs to happen to prove that indeed normalcy has returned? We'll be talking about these and more with our guest. Mr. Jide Ojo joins me virtually for this conversation. I had to get him last minute. Yeah, so I'm grateful that he could make it on the show. Mr. Ojo, good afternoon, sir.
Digital required. Greet you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. All right. Let's start off, sir. People have had so much to say about Nigeria, particularly after that state of emergency. We've heard, the former president speak, presidential candidate speak, and they're all concerned. Even the Bishop, Kukai, they're all concerned as to where we are and that our democracy is hanging by a thread, if one is to summarize all that they've said in recent time. I'm just curious what you make of it. Starting off from the state of emergency that was called on Rivers State and the fact that until normalcy returns, the state of emergency would remain. Do you think it's indicative of a major threat to our democracy? And just before you respond, we're live on Facebook, we're live on YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja. Please follow the conversation on YouTube and Facebook if you have to move around, and leave your comments there also. Mr. Ojo, over to you, sir. Okay, I think I lost the connection with our guest, but I would hurry back and reestablish that connection with him so that we can continue our conversation. If it doesn't work, then I would get him via telephone, one way or the other. We will definitely have this conversation with him as long as he's fine on the other end. Okay. While we're still trying to reestablish the connection with my guest, I will throw open the phone lines and then get across to him so that we get some of your buy-in. Are you concerned about our democracy? Do you think the happenings in recent time is a sign that things have degenerated in terms of democracy, or we've always seen some of these things all through the course, particularly since we got into the Fourth Republic? It's always been topsy-turvy. We've not had a government that you would say, went by the absolute rule of law and did everything by the book. You've always had one person who wants to usurp, to impose, to veto in a way that might come off as not just being the very best for the democracy that we claim to practice in the country. You can share your take with me while I get my guest back online. 0700 951 0000 or 0809 5974 869, or you can call 0809 9930 137 and share your thoughts with me. Maybe not to WhatsApp for now, just make it the other lines, because I'm trying to get Mr. Ojo via WhatsApp if we do not get a connection reestablished via Zoom in a bit. All right, let's hear this caller while we try and reestablish connection with our guest. Is it back on?
Yes.
All right, let's see. I've been told that our guest is back online and things are okay. Seem to think it's a challenge from our end?
Probably.
All right, then. Let's see how we'd re-establish a connection with our guest. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yes, it's Kimberly. You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Moses, the taxi driver.
Moses, talk to us.
You on board this afternoon. God will bless you.
Amen. You too.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, taking on the statement from our former president and then Kimberly. If you take a look at, you will discover that the generator of streets is very expensive. Remember from the statement of Kimberly, he said that former late President Jide called him, and they were of opposite parties. Now tell me, this is the possible today for an opposition president. Mind you, PDP was in majority at that time, and I think it was just after the tax state alone. This is the possible today for a president of another political party, whether APC or PDP of now, because the other party. I don't see it happening. And if that is not possible, I remove it on the verge of collapse. I want to beg our politicians, like our new national anthem says, what are they going to leave for the nation unborn? Where it will be listening? What do you think about them?
All right.
I just have when they do. I'm starting to do, don't worry.
All right, thank you very much. We have our guest back, or the guest has been there. We're the ones who went off. Mr. Ojo, sorry about that. Sorry for the interruption. Go ahead, sir.
So, what was the question again? If you can
I mean, your thought about all of the concerns raised around our democracy. And the people who are saying that, particularly with this present administration, we're seeing a bit more of a decay in democratic practice in Nigeria in the wake of the state of emergency that was imposed on Rivers State, saying, well, suspending an elected governor and the state assembly, it sounds a tad undemocratic at this point.
Exactly. I mean, the suspension of Fubara and the deputy, as well as the 32 member State House of Assembly Rivers, is very distasteful and should be condemned by all well-meaning Nigerians, all lovers of democracy. This is not. This is for me totally unexpected of someone of the pedigree of Mr. President. Who happens to be a veteran pro-democracy activist with over 3 decades in the trenches. We know he was a federal lawmaker, a senator in 1990, and rose from there to become the governor of Lagos State in 1999, before assuming presidency of Nigeria in 2023. And with all his pro-democracy credentials, I would never have thought that a day will come when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would violate our constitution the way it has been violated in the case of Rivers State. I have granted several media interviews and I've been very unsparing. In my own estimation, it was an overkill to have declared state of emergency where you will suspend both the governor, the deputy governor, and then the state lawmakers. The reason why, I mean, granted that Section 305 sub 5 actually gave powers to the president to declare state of emergency, but it was not in the contemplation of the framers of our ground norm, which is the Constitution, that you will suspend by any stretch of imagination an elected representative of the people. Because as it happened, the president found it very convenient to condemn, to quote rather, a portion of the Supreme Court decision where they lambasted the governor, Fubara, for, moving towards dictatorship by not willing to work with the assembly. And so what the president has done is to even commit a greater, a greater goof by suspending all the elected representatives of the people, leaving out only the judiciary. And it's not because of anything that we are fighting this cause. It's because of future. King, the difference between an autocracy and a democracy is about civil liberties. It's not even brick and mortar. It's not about building infrastructure. It's not about roads and superhighways and all those bridges and flyovers. Those were also built by the dictators, by the Abachas and Babangidas and Gowons of this world. They were built. Don't forget, all the Thorn Mainland Bridge, Eko Bridge were built under military rule. So we cannot, by any stretch of imagination, say because somebody is building roads and superhighways, then it's giving us democracy dividends. The true democracy dividends is the rule of law. And where the rule of law is a bridge or compromise, we have to come out, to express our concern. And it's very concerning for me, given the pedigree of Mr. President, because I don't believe at his age he should be misadvised by anybody. The responsibility fully stops at his table. Like I said, even if he wanted to declare state of emergency in Rivers, it should have been within the purview of what Goodluck Jonathan did in 2013 when he declared state of emergency and still left the democratic institutions, the governors and deputy governors and the state legislatures in Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. They were still there, even when there was a state declaration of state of emergency. But my concern, again, is that those who are now calling out President Tinubu do not parade better credentials. I don't know if you get me, King. People like former President Olusegun Obasanjo, he started this whole, state of emergency way back in Ekiti State in 2002 when he removed Dayo Fayose and replaced him with Major General Adetunji Idowu Olurin for 6 months. Then he went to Plateau in 2004 and removed Joshua Dariye, also leaving the State Assembly and replacing Joshua Dariye with General Chris Ali. And then, so when Obasanjo was talking about democracy in decline yesterday, he was a big contributor to that. We all know how himself compromised rule of law during his 8 years administration. Even when we go back in time to when it was the 3 years he spent as the head of state of Nigeria, what were his democratic credentials? Let alone talking about 1999 to 2007. Did he actually lay that foundation for democracy to thrive? So when people left power and they now turn preachers of democracy, I laugh because, it's very convenient for you to see the speck in the eye of the current leader when you left the log in your own eyes. But if Obasanjo, for instance, have laid a very credible foundation in his own 8 years, successive administration will have very solid background in this Fourth Republic. But what did we see? Random removal of chairmen of his party. About 6 of them were ignominiously removed in the course of his 8 years as president. The removal of Senate presidents, that in 8 years, 5 Senate presidents were removed unceremoniously under Obasanjo's watch. In fact, one of the former chairmen of
sir,
PDP.
Hello, sir. Can we just go on a very short break before you give us this fact about the former chairman in the PDP? We'll just go on a 30 seconds break.
All right.
All right then.
To the man hustling every day to get his daughter through school. The artisans grinding every day to earn their urgent 2K.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
So, Joe, you were trying to tell us something about the PDP in their time as to the fact that we get people who kind of like see the light when they are out of power. And that's when they get to see all the ills that is going on in terms of governance. Can you just build on that?
Exactly. So when I see former President Olusegun Obasanjo pontificating and calling out his successors in government, I wonder why he didn't tread on that road, on that path in his own 8 years. Recall that when he was going to remove former national chairman of PDP, Audu Ogbe, he went and have a lunch. Was it lunch or dinner in his house where they had pounded jam together, only for him to say he should sign his resignation letter, which has already typed. And is that a democratic behavior? Is that something that is exemplary? When you removed at will your party chairman, when you remove Senate president at random, or you influence their removal or orchestrated their removal, and even the House of Reps, we know how many House of Reps speakers we had in his 8 years, from this lady from Osun State, who was, from Salisu Buhari to Patricia Olubumiete to Dimeji Bankole to Masari to the one that died not too long ago, Gali Naaba. You know, when actually in 8 years, he should have had only two speakers and 2 Senate president if there is a political stability under his administration. But you can see the plethora of people when he started all of this declaration of state of emergency, he should know that he was sowing a seed that will germinate and others will copy. And that's why presidential aides are having a go at him and calling him out as well. That what did he do when he was at the helm of affairs? But
Mr. Jide, it seemed like sorry to interject. It seemed for Nigerians, we're concerned about both the message and the messenger, that the person who was in power at some point and didn't do much to improve on our lot or our system or our democracy has no right, no matter how important the reason he's tabling or how heavy it is, he has no right to speak up about what is going on. Is it like a consensus for us Nigerians to say, see, if you've held office before or you're politically exposed?
Digital Oracle, don't get me wrong. I didn't say he has no right to say that. It's within his political rights. It's within his human right to say what he feels. And just like I'm expressing my own view as a freeborn, as a citizen of Nigeria. But what I hate is when people have opportunity and they misuse it, and they are now calling out their successor. They don't stand on any moral high ground. I don't know whether I'm not confusing the two. He is entitled to his opinion. Has he not been writing letters against all his successors from, I think with the exception of the late Musa Yar'Adua. He wrote against Goodluck Jonathan. He called
Buhari. Yeah.
He called out Buhari, even when he was instrumental to his emergence. You know, anybody that will not toe the line of or the part of what Obasanjo wants, he calls them out. And that is the papacracy that, he has instituted, that is either his way or highway. I don't like people being hypocritical. When you were there, when you had the opportunity, why didn't you lay a very good foundation? That's what I'm saying. I do not say, neither do I begrudge him of the right to say what he has said. It's within his civil rights, it's within his human rights, it's within his political rights. He said he's no longer in politics. He tore his PDP card, but we know he's still playing politics. And in the emergence of Tinubu as president, he never supported him. He preferred Peter Obi to him. And he didn't hide it. And so when you see coalition of opposition against the incumbent, you also want to see what is how altruistic are their comments. But that is not to say they do not have the right to say what they are saying. I am only saying that, as I've said earlier on, that even Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to me, as is giving this kind of opportunity for his democratic credentials to be dented because of what he has done. Because when you have so many political enemies paying for your blood, you should be above board like Caesar's wife. You should not be found to be doing things that will compromise or undermine the rule of law. Because obviously what the president has done is baffling. It's baffling to say the least. How will you, by any stretch of imagination, undermine our democratic consolidation projects by removing for 6 months in the initial period for an issue, a political crisis that could have been amicably resolved? I have said, and this is my views are well articulated in several videos on several media.
But Mr. Jide, there are people. There are people who have come out to defend the move by the president, saying that we were literally hanging on the fringes of, the breakdown of law and order in Rivers State. There was one pipeline explosion, and there was fear that if it was not managed quickly, given the fact that the president met with security chiefs and the national security advisor, it perhaps would have come from a place of security intel to saying, if you do not impose the state of emergency, we might have a breakdown of law and order in the state.
That is speculative, and that the law should not be based on speculation.
Okay.
And let's even assuming without considering that was what precipitated that action. It could have deployed more military resources to secure the state. Okay, the feud is between the governor and the lawmakers. What about the deputy governor? Where is she complicit? Where is that woman, that professor, Ngozi Oju? Where has she gone wrong for being a lawyer, deputy to the governor? Why are you roping her in and saying she has to go? And that is playing the script of the Wike camp who were paying for Baraza. Because, okay, let me tell you in clear terms what I had expected the president to do. And I will draw an analogy between what the president did in the case of Lagos State House of Assembly leadership crisis and what he did in Rivers. When the Lagos State Assembly crisis, got to its peak on January 13 with the removal of Right Honorable Ajayi Obasa, Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa as the speaker. The president did not just fold his hand. He did what? He initiated peace move, mediation. He sent the former governor of Osun State, Chief Bisa Kode, and Chief Segun Oshoba, to go and mediate. And it was that mediation that led to the resignation of Mojisola Lesbat Miranda and the reinstatement of Obasa. Are you with me?
I'm listening, sir. Yeah.
Even after that the president suspected that enough healing has not happened. He called all the 40 members of the Lagos State House of Assembly to Abuja and had a tete-a-tete with them. You understand? Now, in the case of Rivers, you invited over 100 people in December 2023, and you fashioned out 8-point agenda. Okay, 8-point agenda. Some of them, the Governor Fubara was working on them. He reabsorbed the 9 commissioners that resigned. He also withdrew all the cases he had in court and was on his, way to implementing all the. When this issue of the defection of the lawmakers, reality is something ugly, and it was misadvised that since they have defected, it should pursue their replacement by calling on INEC to come and conduct a by-election and all of that, which is what led to another round of litigation. Assuming without considering that he didn't listen to those who were egging him on to say these people have defected, so declare their seat vacant. It wasn't in the pace of Fubara to declare the seats of those lawmakers vacant. By law, it is the speaker that can declare the seats of his members vacant, and the speaker himself, in this particular instance, are allegedly defected. Unfortunately, while they claim to have defected, they didn't go to register for APC in their respective wards. If the path of peace, like I cited the example in Lagos, mediation sometimes takes more than one session. Yes, you did mediate in December 2023, but you have also watched that things were getting from bad to worse. Before the issue of the initiation of the second impeachment attempt on Fubara, which happened last week, Monday, before that happened, there must have been an intelligence at the table of Mr. President, where he could have called the Minister of FCT and said, I learned your boys in Rivers were about to impeach the governor. Tell them not to do it. Are you with me?
Yeah.
If the president had taken that preemptive action and the impeachment notice was not served on the governor, don't forget that while Fubara was not totally innocent, he committed a lot of
political atrocities, it might seem like at that point, because our guest yesterday was talking about tearing down the State Assembly building and all of that. Also, didn't sit well with a lot of people.
It didn't start with that. Fubara's sins are many, and let me read out some of them. One, when he lands in September 2023 that he was going to be served impeachment notice. Unknown arsonist set ablaze the State House of Assembly. Unknown, but it is believed allegedly that perhaps loyalists to the governor who wants to preempt and prevent the impeachment from taking place. Then the next thing, you went and pulled down the assembly. That's number 2. Then number 3, you went and conducted local government election by encouraging your members to even defect to APP. And you were a PDP governor, but your loyalists defected to APP and contested and purportedly won election into APP under a different party. That is anti-party now. Are you with me? That's anti-party. Then you withheld the salaries and allowances of all the lawmakers that do not subscribe to your governorship, or those 27 who are beholden to the FCT governor. That is another unconstitutional act. He shouldn't have withheld the funds meant for another arm of government. So he committed a series of, if you want to call it atrocities or wrongs or sins. But that is not sufficient to justify that in a situation where, after the Supreme Court decision of February 28th, the Assembly gave him 48 hours within which to submit the budget. He said he was waiting for the certified true copy of the Supreme Court decision. Okay. He now wrote the week after, which was first week of March, to say, yes, I've received the certified true copy. Let us meet on Monday to talk about your new location for assembly, your payment of your withheld salaries, allowances, and all of that. But the lawmakers, one, claim that they didn't receive the correspondence. Two, they claim also that the correspondence, even if it was received, was signed by the secretary to the state government, and that was demeaning for them. That is how they orchestrated another round of crisis, because if they didn't care about who signed, if the issue of, the governor should have signed the letter communicating that meeting to them, if it didn't arise, maybe the issue of impeachment would not have come. Because he has reached out to you and said, let us meet on Monday, so time. You said the SSG was the one that wrote the letter or that signed the letter. Then the governor claimed to have written another one, which was signed personally by him, intimating them that he wants to come and represent the budget. And then you said you never received it, that he sent it through WhatsApp, through social media. Okay, all these evasions of, I don't know whether to say evasion of service. Then the third one, after the second one, where he now went without receiving confirmation that the lawmakers were going to be willing to receive it. That was the second correspondence. The third one was to intimate them that, okay, I'm willing to come and represent the budget on, was it on 18th or 19th of March, which was a day after the declaration of state of emergency. So that effort was made by Fubara's camp. And if the lawmakers have not had a premeditated mind to just get him removed, based on, the encouragement they have received from their godfather in Abuja, who said during live telecast when he was addressing the press
some weeks back,
Thursday, where we're in Abuja, when he was saying that the governor can be removed
and nothing will happen. Yeah, we all heard that.
And all of those rhetorics, if that did not happen, if there was no impeachment move, I believe that the breaking of pipeline or the blowing up of pipeline that happened last week, Tuesday through Wednesday, would not have happened. So all of the parties are guilty. And that is why I'm also not too happy with the Mr. President, was he's taking side with
Minister of the FCT,
only the governor when there are two parties to the feud. And there was never a time that he even cautioned the FCT minister, which it shows some kind of bias in the point of average citizens.
All right. Talking with Mr. Jide, I see a lot of comment and would want your take, given the fact that Rivers NLC and TUC are threatening to disrupt economic activity over the emergency road. The organized labor in Rivers State has threatened to embark on strategic union action that could disrupt national economic activities if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu does not reverse the emergency rule imposed on the state. In a joint statement signed by leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in Rivers State, the union said the emergency rule has affected the payment of workers' salaries and said the local government workers who are yet to receive their salaries have been exposed to economic hardship. And they said the declaration has put the state in a very disadvantageous position, as potential investors who have indicated interest in Rivers Vision have all backed out of planned investment in the state. Let's look at the impact of the state of emergency, because they're saying investors are not coming here because of a state of emergency. I mean, you want to look at it. Do they have a solid point there? I mean, one of the reasons why they are threatening to strike and go on a protest march in the coming days, if this is not reversed, does this have a tendency of affecting investment in the state if an emergency rule of this nature is imposed in the state? And I would also want to look at it. Can the president call this off, even sooner, rather than later? Because he's saying initially they said 6 months, and then we heard from the Attorney General saying that as soon as Minister of Information, I beg your pardon, was the one says as soon as normalcy returned the state. But how soon can that be? Can it be sooner, like next week, today, tomorrow, to call it off?
Exactly. You see, if there is no political motive to the state of emergency, the president can actually do that within a couple of weeks. The reason why I'm saying this is this. If there's no political motive to capture rivers because of 2027, the president can still cause a mediation panel of experts to mediate, because nobody is talking about mediation now. And I don't see the collateral damage that has happened now. The two camps have lost, in a sense. In fact, maybe the state of emergency was more favorable to Sim Fubara, because if the president did not intervene, maybe by now they will have removed him unceremoniously. He will have been back to court to fight back to get his seat.
Reinstated, yeah.
Going, as of that last week, you know, the wicked camp had the master plan. They wanted the chief judge removed. They said he forged his age. They wanted the SSG removed. They said he spent money without appropriation. They wanted the deputy governor and the deputy to be impeached. So it was a grand plan. Assuming that all of this happened, what was the weakest camp going to do? To replace these people with their own stooges who will do as they wanted. But maybe the blessing in disguise is that the state of emergency kind of altered that impeachment move, because we have seen it happen in Adamawa, where a governor was impeached and had to fight his way back through the court. And we know that the court system is never that fast. Why? I mean, it has also happened in Oyo State when the Rashidi Ladoja was removed. For 11 months, he was in court. And while his former deputy, who later became governor, Adebayo Alao Kala, was sworn in. So, but what I believe is that the threat coming from the labor unions, you know, there is something called esprit de corps. It's as a result of the kind of esprit de corps. Fubara was one of them, was the Accountant General of the state, was in the public service. He rose through the rank to become permanent secretary and later to be appointed the Accountant General. So, and he has been, in fact, I think his Rivers is paying the highest, together with Lagos, minimum wage, 85,000. And Rivers is paying 85,000 minimum wage. Lagos is paying 85,000 minimum wage. And aside from that, I think last December, he gave all civil servants 100,000 bonus for them to celebrate Christmas. So the civil servant at least loved him for what he has been able to do for them. However, I think the labor unions should engage the sole administrator. If there are outstanding salaries that have not been paid, then they can negotiate. It's not to threaten the sole administrator, because that's part of the challenge. The 2025 budget is in abeyance now, because the court says the one that was passed by Victor Okojombo is null and void. It's not done, yeah. Another one meant to be represented to the Martin Amewule group. Now they couldn't, they didn't allow him to represent that, which means that whatever the sole administrator will be spending will be extra constitutional. I don't know what to call it, because it has no budget to operate on. And that's why I said the cost of this state of emergency is too humongous. And the president should have a rethink about it. All right. Rethink about it, because he can actually mastermind a panel of experts to reconcile the warring faction. He knows two dramatic personnel to speak to is Wike and Fubara. And once he can extract, or the panel of mediators can extract commitment from these two that they will allow peace to reign, I tell you, the following day, things will return to normal in this part. But beyond that, you see, the collateral damage is what the labor unions.
Oh dear. Okay. We'll get our guests back online in a bit. Let's get some of your feedback to what we're talking about with Mr. Jide Ojo, who is our analyst. God's Will SCN on Facebook said, when as a critical supporter of the APC federal government, the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State and the declaration of the same by a National Assembly is selfish, politically motivated, and unconstitutional. Benike Paul says nothing seemed to be working in Nigeria at the moment except corruption. Okay, Tinubu was partial in handling the two cases. Mike Form Senior says your guest is rather taking on former President Obasanjo rather than looking at the issue the elder statesman raised. Irrespective of Obasanjo's shortcoming and mistake, his footprints and record are there for all to see almost 2 decades after he left office. I completely agree with Peter Obi. Democracy is seriously under threat. In fact, there is no democracy at the moment but civil rule. There was resemblance of it under PDP. As poor as they were, civil rule became terrible under Buhari and worst under Tinubu. That's Mike Nfon's position. Let's hear this caller while we get our guests back on. Hello.
Hello.
It's Kimberly.
Yeah, hello, Kimberly. Good afternoon.
Welcome.
I must commend you. This your resource person is truly Nigerian. I like his balance, and I like how he's spoken and given everybody their kudos and their faults.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the president, whether it's Wike, whether it's Fubara, and all the other factors.
Yeah.
This is the kind of discourse we should be having if we really want on any situation. This is the kind of analysis, this is the kind of criticism for us to make progress. So I commend him and I commend you for bringing him on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear this other caller.
Hello, Kim. Good afternoon.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, David calling from Area 10.
All right, David, go ahead.
Can I talk about Natasha and Kogi?
No, we're not talking about that today, sir.
Okay, that's what I want to continue.
We will get to that in a bit, some other time. Not this moment.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, you're welcome.
My name is Adola Victor from Alaji.
Go ahead, sir.
One thing I noticed about Nigerian politicians is that they have not learned any lesson at all. And to me, they are not ready to learn lessons. That is why we will continue to mess up democracy in this country. You see, what is happening in Rivers State is very unfortunate. But one thing is that, you see, politicians will continue to pursue their own selfish interests. You see, some people expect the president to blame Wike. He will not blame him. Wike has a political target in Rivers State. Wike was given a appointment. And he has a mission. The mission is deliver Rivers State for me. He said it's a zero. Go to presidential election and win. So he has a mission. So the president is comfortable. He's comfortable. What Wike is doing? It's comfortable. So therefore, politicians will continue to use the power they have and the money to destroy the system and destroy themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello?
Hello?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Kim. How are you?
Fine and well, I'm good.
Well, and my name is Comrade on the line.
Comrade, talk to us.
This of that you bring, I love the way you analyze. See, this kind of people, I don't know, they're still doing in the country. The man, the way I'm hearing voices is a Yoruba man, I'm sure. And the way this man is, he must have special advisor. You don't have anything to advise him, but see a president that's surrounded with advisor and everything security everywhere. Even the DSS everywhere, they cannot tell the president what is going on in the River State to know the detail before it takes a decision like this. Now he messed everything up to able to take this decision. It's supposed to be dialogue to call them in order, or to call delegate to call them in order and discuss how to make peace in that place. Because what is my problem is that our money now, our economy is going to go in that. What is the place that our economy is there? River State and Bayelsa and Akwa Ibom State. When this military angry, begin to bombard access to this court. All the pipelines scatter. Now our economy is fall down woefully. Nothing you can do, and you cannot see them. They are in click. So you should be careful, please. Middle President revise and not to gather these people to have peace in this country.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, we're taking responses. Mr. Ojo is with us. So we just want to get concluding thought from you. We've had some callers and you were offline at that point in time saying, oh, yeah, I love the guest. He looked at it from all sides, gave kudos and basbos to those who deserved it at the end of the day. So let's just get a concluding thought from you before we wrap up, sir.
So thank you so much for the opportunity. My own concluding thought is that it's never too late to, no matter how long you go in the wrong direction, you have to retrace your step. And the President Tinubu can retrace his step by making sure that this state of emergency is lifted with apologies to the people of Rivers State. He needs to deal impartially with the two camps by ensuring that it facilitates a mediation. If he doesn't want to directly be involved, I've suggested names to him. People like General Yakubu Gowon, people like Chief Emeka Anyaoku, the former Commonwealth Secretary General, people like Salami Abubakar of the National Peace Committee, and even Bishop Matthew Azankuka. These four gentlemen, three of them or two of them, can facilitate a kind of mediation. You see, the solution to Rivers crisis is not in Rivers. The elders, the religious leaders, the traditional rulers have already taken sides, and they cannot facilitate a very sustainable mediation. But you can get eminent Nigerians to facilitate that. And I believe someone like Yakubu Gowon in his 90s, people like Emeka Anyaoku in his 80s, people that are not looking for contracts, they are not looking for favors, they have seen it all. People like that will be very dispassionate. They will apportion blame. They will also facilitate a kind of reconciliation. Right. And then the president can do an icing on the cake by later meeting with these two gentlemen who are the dramatic personnel in all of this. And that will end the whole political crisis. But if you leave it the way it is, which is open-ended, and today we learned the SSG has been replaced, a new SSG has been appointed, the head of service have resigned. We don't know how many more
would have to
casualties. All the commissioners are not going to be able to retain their seats. But these are just unnecessary eating up of the quality. So we should the president should prioritize
all right.
Prioritize mediation over every other thing to ensure that no matter
returns to Rivers State. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Jide Ojo. We truly do appreciate your time on the segment with us. Thank you very much, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, let's join Joy for the news at the top of the hour. Nas J, I see you.
Information. This is Nigeria Info.